If you have seen my video about the Annunaki, you probably have at least a passing familiarity with Nibiru. In case you are not familiar with Nibiru, the theory is that there is a planet or other large body in our solar system that remains undiscovered by modern astronomers. This planet, known as Nibiru or Planet X, has an orbit that will bring it close to Earth every 3,600 years. According to the myths and legends surrounding the Annunaki, Nibiru is their homeworld. The last time Nibiru was close to Earth, its presence caused the Great Flood, a motif which crops up with astonishing consistency in religious texts and mythologies from around the world. If the legends are true, humanity did survive, but could we survive a second encounter with Nibiru? Maybe not. If Nibiru is real and is indeed in a long orbit, its return is inevitable. The predicted return of Nibiru is known as the Nibiru Cataclysm. While the idea was first popularized in 1995 by Zeta Talk founder Nancy Lieder, it has since gained a lot of ground and visibility. The Nibiru Cataclysm was the inspiration for Lars von Trier's 2011 film Melancholia. It also played a key role in a viral marketing campaign for the 2009 film 2012. Has the Caltech discovery of a new planet in our solar system evidence of Nibiru? Now, Nibiru has entered the public eye for another reason. For the first time ever, mainstream science has made an astounding discovery which may indicate that Nibiru is real. The research was published by the California Institute of Technology in January 2016. While the so-called ninth planet has not been directly observed, there is mathematical evidence for its existence. The model in question would answer a number of other mysteries if indeed a ninth planet is in orbit around the Sun. The studies were conducted using computer simulations and mathematical modeling by Mike Brown and Konstantin Batyin. As Brown explains, there have only been 2 true planets discovered since ancient times, and this would be a third. In other words, the possible existence of Planet 9 is huge news. How huge? According to the mathematical models and simulations run by the 2 Caltech researchers, the ninth planet may have 5,000 times the mass of Pluto. This is no dwarf planet. In fact, that makes it larger than any of the 8 planets we do know about. The biggest piece of our solar system may be orbiting unseen. How did this discovery come about? Well, it all has to do with the Kuiper belt. This is a group of small objects outside the orbit of Neptune. The Kuiper belt contains numerous asteroids and comets, as well as other small icy bodies. Since being demoted from its official planet status, dwarf planet Pluto is considered to be part of this belt. One of Brown's former postdocs, a researcher named Chad Trujillo, published a paper on the Kuiper belt alongside fellow researcher Scott Shepard. In the paper, the 2 pointed out that 13 of the belt's most distant objects seem to share a certain unusual orbital feature which might suggest the presence of an unknown planet. The theory seemed unlikely, and many scientists shrugged it off, but Brown was intrigued enough to pursue it. At this point, Brown turned to Batyin, and the 2 launched into an intensive study of the distant objects in the Kuiper belt. The 2 were careful to rule out the other possibilities through their research. Their first thought was that the Kuiper belt itself might contain a sufficiently large number of distant, undiscovered objects to exert the gravity needed to cause the anomalous orbital features. Why wouldn't this explanation suffice? The Kuiper belt would need to contain around 100 times the mass it seems to today in order to produce the anomalous orbits. With this possibility ruled out, Brown and Batyin returned to the only other likely possibility, a hidden planet. Eventually, their simulations displayed a scenario which could produce the strange orbits. If a giant planet orbited the Sun in an anti-aligned orbit, whereby the planet's closest approach to the Sun, perihelion, is 180 degrees across from that of all the other known objects and planets in orbit, the Kuiper Belt objects might behave in just the way that scientists have observed. Initially, Brown and Batchin wondered how such an orbit could be stable. They believed that the hypothetical planet would eventually collide with the other objects, just as we might experience from an event like the Nibiru Cataclysm. As it turns out, celestial mechanics provided an intriguing answer to this problem. Thanks to something called mean motion resonance, the very existence of Planet 9 modifies the orbits of distant Kuiper Belt objects in just such a way that they do not collide. In other words, it actually cuts a clear path for itself on its journey around the Sun. This is really quite remarkable. What is even more incredible is this. The Planet 9 theory not only explains the strange orbits in the Kuiper Belt, but explains the orbits of other solar system objects, such as Sedna and 2012 VP 113. On top of that, the simulations predicted the existence of objects in a perpendicular orbit to the plane of the planets. The researchers have found 4 of these to date. Just how amazing is this? Batchin describes it like this. When simulation aligned the distant Kuiper Belt objects and created objects like Sedna, we thought this is kind of awesome. You'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But with the existence of the planet also explaining these perpendicular orbits, not only do you kill 2 birds, you also take down a bird that you didn't realize was sitting in a nearby tree. But what about the 3,600-year orbit of Nibiru? One notable difference between Caltech's discovery and the original Nibiru theory concerns the period of the orbit. According to Zecharia Sitchin, one of the leading proponents of the Nibiru theory, Nibiru should pass by Earth once every 3,600 years. This would mean that the large planet heading towards Earth should arrive between 2090 to 2370. According to the Caltech scientists, however, Planet 9 would take anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 years to orbit the Sun. While you may be ready to release a sigh of disappointment or relief, hold tight because Planet 9 may still be Nibiru. There could be an explanation for the discrepancy. Zecharia himself passed away in 2010, but his nephew has been maintaining and updating his website. In January, he posted an update commenting that he recently spoke to his father, Amnon Sitchin, Zecharia's brother. Amnon holds a PhD in aeronautical and mechanical engineering and was the one who originally calculated Nibiru's orbit for Zecharia. Conducting some additional calculations, he provided the following astonishing report. If Nibiru's orbit of 3,600 years was circular rather than elliptical, it would have an orbit of about 10,000 years. This is still not perfect, as the Caltech astronomers too seem to suggest that Planet 9's orbit is likely elliptical, not circular. But it should give you pause. It seems amazing that 10,000 years would come up twice by coincidence, doesn't it? So maybe it isn't a coincidence at all. Maybe this is yet another connecting thread between Planet 9 and Nibiru. There is so much left to discover about our universe. Coming back to the Caltech scientists, I think this is a good place to share a quote from Konstantin Batchin. Speaking on the Planet 9 discovery, Batchin said, "A good theory should not only explain things that you set out to explain. It should hopefully explain things that you didn't set out to explain and make predications that are testable. So often we get down on the scientific community for being close-minded, and for good reason. Researchers often do search for theories and evidence to explain the beliefs they already hold dear. But sometimes they step outside of those patterns. Batchin and Brown set aside their preconceptions about our solar system and explored concepts in celestial mechanics that previously seemed quite alien. Now these concepts seem more and more likely to reflect reality. The point here is that mainstream science doesn't know everything about our solar system, much less our universe. NASA has quite prominently denounced the Nibiru theory in the past. Back in 2012, when a lot of people were expecting Nibiru to return, NASA scientists put together a simulation which projected Nibiru's orbit. This simulation was designed to assuage the fears of the public, not to educate the public on Nibiru. As such, the orbit it portrayed wasn't even the one predicted by believers in the Nibiru theory. Essentially, they laughed off the entire theory. These new findings about Planet X may have quite a few NASA scientists scratching their heads and wondering if they jumped the gun in proclaiming that Nibiru was a lot of claptrap. Maybe we should be wondering about our own theories and beliefs too. Just as mainstream scientists do not know everything about our solar system, we don't know everything about Nibiru. It's time for us to open our minds. Maybe Nibiru does have a 10,000-year orbit. Maybe it is elliptical. Maybe it is circular. Who can say? None of us are experts. Right now we should just be amazed that science has confirmed Nibiru as a possibility. We also need to learn to step outside of our own preconceptions about the universe and the Annunaki. Planet X may very well be on its way after all. All we can say with certainty is that if it does exist, it will bring plenty more surprises before it reaches us. Do you believe that Nibiru exists? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.